Alrighty. Hello, Internet. My name is Chance. I'm Chance Nielsen. I get put in a lot of the titles. I'm Cody's friend. This is my apartment where we live. I'm sorry if you can hear the washer in the background. I'm doing laundry. But Cody told me that it would be a good idea if I tried to do a solo one on my own, which I don't know if I agree with him because he's pretty good at doing ones by himself. I don't know if people listening to this have heard his solo ones. If not, you should, but he's pretty good at them. And yeah, so I wrote down a couple things, but I didn't know if I should start with those or if I should start with some background about myself. Like I said, this is my apartment. I used to live in Waukesha, and before that I lived in Pewaukee, and then before that Monroe. But I was originally born in this town, and then when I was like 7 years old, we moved to Wisconsin. In Waukesha, the reason I moved to Iowa, I was working at a gas station, and what was my other job? Jeez, it was so unimportant. In Oscars, so it's basically like a Culver's. I was working both of those like same day. I would open one of them and close it the other like same day. I only had Mondays off, and shit was just getting real expensive, and I was at a dead end job, so I was like, fuck, like, I was having some dark thoughts back then. I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Like, if this is just all life is, I'm ready to not have it. Which is, it's a tough thought. But then, lucky for me, I got a pretty good family behind me. And they gave me some advice. A lot of my family is out here, so they were telling me about Winnebago and welding and whatnot, and it sounded like a good opportunity to me. So my dad was willing enough to help me load up basically my apartment in Waukesha in the back of his truck and a little U-Haul trailer, bring it out to my grandma's place back in Clear Lake. It's like a 30-minute drive from where I'm at, which is Forest City. And I lived there for like 2 weeks. And then I was searching for places the whole time. I started working at Bago in the meantime, but I was searching for places to move out. Eventually landed on this place. Pretty great landlord, pretty great location. I'm like 5 minutes from work. Cody's like 4 minutes from work. It's pretty peak. It's pretty sick. Yeah, see, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to talk about. Cody's pretty good. He told me I shouldn't think about it, and that's like the trick to it. But it's like a muscle, I feel like. He's growing that muscle. Bill Burr's got that muscle too, where you can kind of just rant to yourself. I'm not sure if I can, though. I don't really think out loud a whole lot. I kind of stay inside of my head, and that could be good and bad, but I definitely stay inside my head a whole lot. I don't think I say more than I need to a lot. I do have a notepad somewhere with shit I wanted to talk about. I have written down corrupt as a bullet point, guns, cars, and conspiracies. So let's get into it. The corruption I'm talking about is the government, obviously. What else is corrupt? I guess a lot of stuff, but the government. I kind of just wanted to point out, I don't know if this is a revelation I had or a revelation everybody knows about, maybe not even a revelation, just simply an observation, but I find it kind of funny how, like, the same advertisers that'll advertise on, like, normal reality, like Housewives of Atlanta or, like, any sort of reality TV shows also are the lobbyists for politicians. To me, that just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how are you supposed to make the decision that's best for the country if you're getting paid by someone that has like the exact opposite interest and they're paying you purposely to make that interest, to pass laws to make that interest better, and it just fucks our whole country up. And I don't know what I'm really trying to say here. I guess I'm just upset at some of the. I don't know, it never feels like the best we have to offer is running our country like it should be. It always feels like just whoever made it there, whoever's got the most amount of blackmail to get to the top, the most visits to Epstein's Island end up getting to the top, shit like that, We had a president that went to Epstein's Island like 40 times. I think that was Clinton, he's on the flight record, like, just way too many times flying on that plane to Big St. James and then taking the helicopter or the boat to Little St. James. And he was our president, and he was doing that during his presidency, and they let Epstein into the White House and all that type of stuff. And Epstein was simply probably a lobbyist too. I mean, he blackmailed people, so it's kind of like a different type of it's not like lobbyists pay people to pass bills and stuff like that in favor of whatever company they work for. But Epstein was Mossad, Israel, like CIA more or less, and instead of like paying someone, they basically blackmailed them into doing what they wanted. I'm sure you guys already know about this. It's not like the Epstein story is like a small thing. I just don't know what to talk about, so I, I keep doing it. Um, yeah, I just think it's kind of a game show, and I guess I get a little bit upset about that because I'm like, why all of a sudden if I go to Illinois and have weed in my car, it's no longer illegal, but then my gun becomes illegal, and then vice versa. If I cross the border back into Iowa with weed, now that's illegal, but the gun's legal. Like, they just pick and choose rules. Basically, they just imagine playing tag, but like some guy just gets to tell you what to do the whole time. Like, how are you supposed to tag the other person? Like, if you have to keep freezing or like standing on your head or something like that. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Especially the weed thing. I think the weed thing is solely based on the prison industrial complex lobbying politicians, because it's a lot easier to fill a prison full of just dudes that smoke weed versus like actual murderers and scary people. Um, well, let's go back to the topics. I got guns on there. Um, I like guns. I know people don't like guns. I like them. I think the first constitutional rights we have are pretty important, which is freedom of speech and right to bear arms. I think. Hopefully, I'm not fucking that up. It's an insane fuck up if I mess that up. But I understand why people are against them, or maybe just don't like them, not necessarily against them. I like them. Me and Cody go to the range. I've posted that on my story. I think it's good to be trained in one. The problem with taking them away is it doesn't really, like, it doesn't make anything safer. Like, a lot of like the gun deaths and shit, like they're criminals. Minus there is a good argument against like the suicide statistics. I think like a lot of gun deaths, like almost the majority, I want to say it's like 40 something percent, are suicides, and those were like legal purchases more or less most of the time, and they resulted in a death, and that's obviously not good. But if you take guns away, it makes guns more dangerous, because then good people don't have guns, only bad people that don't care about laws have guns. Ironically, cities with more like liberal type governments, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but cities with that, like big cities, Chicago, LA, New York, places like that, they have the worst gun violence and homicide rates due to guns, and the most restrictive gun laws. And what that tells you is criminals have guns and good people don't. So the criminals get to do what they want because nobody else has a gun. And that might be a scary thought to some people. I just want to point that out. It's not necessary, but it wasn't necessary at a certain point of time. But now, since we're so far past a certain point of time, now it does become necessary, because everybody's building up arms and whatnot. You know, criminals have had access to all these guns, and now if you take I'm saying but like good people's rights to have guns away, then the only people with it are criminals, and then who's stopping them from doing whatever they want? If a guy breaks into your house in the middle of the night and he's got a gun, and now you don't because you follow the laws, and now the laws say that you can't have a gun, so you sold your gun, or you gave it back, you did a buyback or whatever. Now what? Now you're dead, because now a bad guy's in your house with a gun. Not that happens a lot, but it also does happen. It is a reality. Yeah, I guess that's my little mini rant on that. God damn, this time, I don't know how we make it to 44 minutes every time, because I'm not good at this. Hopefully Cody comes home at some point. He's at the gym right now. I know he wants to cook food when he's home, but I might need help on the podcast, because Cody's good. Cody is like, I'm like the Red Band to his Joe Rogan, or I'm like the Matt McCusker to his like Shane Gillis, because he can just go, or no, he's Matt McCusker, I'm Shane Gillis, but he can just go Like, he's one of those people that can just, like, take a topic and just run with it, where I don't have to talk for, like, 5 minutes, and then at the end of it, I can just be like, yeah, like, dope, man, yeah, definitely, that's right, yeah, for sure. But regardless, I like that motherfucker. He wouldn't be living in my apartment if I didn't like him. And he's getting good. He doesn't give himself enough credit a lot. He doesn't. It's weird. The kid's got like I don't want to say ego, but he's got like a weird thing in his brain where he likes to hype himself up a lot. But then when it comes to shit that I like compliment him on, like, hey, you're doing pretty good. Like, then he doesn't accept it. So it's like an internal weird processing error that he's got going on. But yeah, he's a good man. Tap into the podcast if you haven't already. Cody's a beast. We're just going to keep going, you know. I don't really see a point in stopping this. I don't really see a negative to it, other than, like, people I don't like finding it and using it against me, but other than that, like, why not, in my opinion? I watched this guy, Jinxie, on YouTube, and I watched him hit 5 million, and when he hit 5 million, he was saying, like, a bunch of inspirational stuff, but during it, he said, like, I spent a whole year streaming to one person, and that was my dad, and now he's, like, the number one, like, Twitch streamer. So my theory is if we do this for long enough, it'll eventually gain traction, and it'll eventually, you know, it'll get better and stuff. The camera quality's not good, and, you know, our audio gets corrupted, and we got to cut a podcast in half, which sucked, because that podcast with Blair was really, really good, and the liquor started hitting us, like, at that point where we had to cut it off, and we started talking about a whole bunch of crazy stuff that I really would have liked to talk about. Or we did talk about it. I would have liked to have it not the audio corrupted, so we could post it on YouTube and people could hear it, because it is interesting and I liked it. Or maybe it's not interesting, but I liked it anyway, so I would have listened to it. I gotta stop second guessing myself all the time. I wonder why I do that. I struggle with, like, self-image a lot. I don't mean to go down, like, a mental health rabbit hole, but I do have some experience in it. I'm not really sure where it all comes from. Like, I have really good parents. My dad isn't my biological dad, but he is my dad. And what I mean by that is, like, he raised me better than my biological dad probably would have ever been able to. My biological dad left when I was real young. Like, I want to say before the age of, like, 4 or something like that. Like, he was gone. His name was Jason Snyder, so I was Chance Snyder, born. And then he left, he lost parental rights and whatnot. I became Chance Philibar. And then my dad, whose name is Joey, I became Chance Nielsen. And that's what you see in the titles and everything. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I guess it started out with why do I second guess myself all the time. My parents are really good. I think my dad had some anger problems, and I don't think he would mind me mentioning that. But I think it just affects you. I don't think you realize for a while, like, a lot of the stuff in your childhood kind of builds your psyche for who you are as a person when you grow. And it's pretty difficult to explore who you are. You have to, like, be vulnerable to yourself. So you're kind of, like, playing a trick on your brain, because you're, you know, I heard this quote, or no, I didn't, I read it. It's Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, and it's, like, one of the first pages, and he goes, like, I was so depressed that I couldn't live with myself anymore, and that's two, I and myself. So if you can't live with yourself, only one of you exists, and you're saying there's two of you. So one of them's not real. One of them is you, and one of them is, like, your emotional mind. And if he can't live with himself, that's because he's so insanely depressed that he needs to make a change, you know? I guess what I'm getting back to. My dad's a beast, my mom's a beast. They were hard on me. They were pretty strict, pretty hard. They would go through the garbage, see what I ate. They would set cameras up in the kitchen to catch me doing whatever. Set cameras in the living room to see me, like, grabbing my DS or whatever. There was, you know, summers where I was grounded for the whole thing. Punishments were, like, chopping wood. I didn't have a phone until I had a car. You can actually see it in Snapchat. I recently went and looked. I think it was, like, something like November 2018, which would have made me, like, a little bit over 16, is when I got Snapchat. So yeah, they kind of had a pretty tight leash on me, and I guess maybe that's why I second guess myself. I guess I just never feel good enough, or I always kind of feel like I'm doing something wrong. I used to get yelled at a lot, and then nowadays or back then I would shut down too. Nowadays I'm getting better at it, but I still like, if a conflict arises that is like pretty intense and I don't want to deal with it, I shut down. And that's not really good, because then the other person is like, they kind of feel one of two ways. They're either like more pissed because now you're not participating in the discussion and they're trying to solve the problem, or they're like, now they feel bad because they pushed you in such a state where you're not like operable emotionally anymore. You just kind of like blank out and you're not there. Yeah, I guess while we're on the topic of mental health, that's kind of more, I know a lot about that more than I would know about like corruption or guns or anything like that. Probably not cars, which is another thing on my list, but mental health would probably be like next after cars. Um, I've been inpatient 3 times, outpatient 3 times, and residential 1 time. So that makes me a 7-time Rogers veteran. I'm not real proud of that, but it is what it is. The first time was kind of like a half-ass, like, there was no like attempt or nothing. I kind of just was like talking to my therapist, I guess, which it was like barely a fucking therapist, by the way. It was like a children's pediatric hospital when I was like fucking 16 or 17, and it was the therapist in there. Like, there's one therapist that sees all these like kids. Mind you, I'm like a year or 2 off from being classified as an adult, and I'm just like, I just don't want to live anymore. Like, I just don't want to do it. This was just my mind state back then. I was just like, if shit keeps going this way, I just don't want to do it. Like, my parents are giving me a fucking hard time. Like, there's a lot of other stuff going on. I was fucking around with like drugs and shit. But then she like, once you tell them that, you're kind of like, they basically put you in the cuffs. They don't really cuff you, but they'll put you in a room and just tell you to wait, and then they call your parents, and then they call the inpatient. The inpatient has to be like, they have to check like different inpatients to see if they have a bed open and shit. And then yeah, your parents take you, they drop you off, you fill out paperwork. When it really hits you is when you're laying alone. You're laying alone in that bedroom your first night, and you know, I'll just run you through what was going on in my brain, but I was staring at the ceiling, out the window and shit. You know, bars on the fucking windows, the door slanted. God damn, that washer is loud. My bad, folks. I hope this is the gain. I don't know what I'm doing. I hope that's up. Turn it down. Turn it down. All right. Are we smelling good? Are we sounding good? I hope so. I'm sorry if the audio's bad, people. I'll get closer to the mic so I don't have to talk so loud. But when it really hits you, god damn, that shit is loud. When it really hits you is when you're laying in your bed, and you're like, fuck, I'm actually like sleeping in a mental hospital right now. And I remember that like threw me through a loop. I'm pretty sure I cried pretty hard about that one, because I was like, it's just like a feeling like I let everybody down around me. You kind of feel like nobody cares, but then also like you can't really feel like nobody cares because somebody brought you to that hospital, so clearly they give a shit. You know, and you sit there, and I was crying, and they check on you like every 10-15 minutes to make sure you're not dead. And so it sucks. I was bawling my fucking eyes out, and these like 2 buff ass security guards like are walking through my room with flashlights and shit, and I'm like face down in my bed crying, and they're like shaking me and trying to make sure I'm alive and shit, and I'm just having a rough time. But yeah, the rooms are weird in those inpatients. I guess they're not weird, they're kind of smart, but like, you definitely can't like forget that you were suicidal while you're in there, which is kind of like, it's kind of like a thought loop. Like, they design the rooms around not being able to kill yourself. So like the doors are slanted, there's no doorknobs, it's just like a finger hole that you slide. No shower head. Furniture's bolted to the ground. No real angles that you could hang yourself from anything. Beds fucking suck so bad. I hated those beds. It's basically like cardboard with like paper towels as blankets. It's not, but that might as well have been what it is. You know, and then you wake up. I guess I'm running through you guys through what a day at inpatient is like. I'm sure some of you have had them, but then you wake up. I forget if they don't. I don't think they make you wake up, but I think they do like first group and you got to be there. But wake up and you'll kind of congregate, and that was like, I had to go talk to like the other kids that are depressed, and that's always fucking fun. Like, hey, what are you in here for? Like, we're in jail and shit. And some of them are in there, because they tried to kill themselves. Some of them are in there because they had like a psychotic break. Some of them have like eating disorders, and they almost died from them and shit like that. And then I'm in there like, I just want to kill myself. Like, I just don't want to exist anymore. And that's kind of I guess that's kind of the consensus among all those kids. But yeah, you go to first break. I don't have the book in arm's reach, but they give you like a booklet that you have to like work through like the 7 days of inpatient or however long you're in there. You do like a couple of those types of break things, and then you eat lunch, and the lunches are actually not bad. Like, they're not great, but I'd say they're like twice as good as like a decent school lunch would be. Like, they're pretty good, which is probably how it should be. I mean, if you're fucking depressed as hell and then you're eating like bullshit, you're gonna be more sad. Sorry, this washer's distracting me. What was I talking about? Inpatient? Well, yeah, people pull code yellows at inpatient, which is like basically when you run, which is so fucking crazy to be like, all right, I'm just gonna take off, because like, where are you going? You can't go back to your parents' house. They're gonna be like, what the fuck are you here? Like, we're picking you up in 3 days, dumbass, go back. And the cops will like tackle you or tase you to get you back. But then again, you want to kill yourself, so like, you probably enjoy the pain. You're somewhat of a masochist in some degree or something like that. But I always cheered for them when they were running away. It's fun. Some of them make it away, but then it's like, we know who you are. Like, what's your plan? But I guess you're in an inpatient. You're not really thinking clearly, right? You're in there because you're kind of on the wrong state of mind. Yeah, but something that really fucked me up in that first inpatient was like, it was like an L, like this, or no, it was like that, and we were in this wing, and kids were in this top wing. Like, the top of the L if you're just audio, and the bottom of the L was the teens, and the top of the L was the kids. So you kind of shared a wing. You're not supposed to like talk to the kids or nothing like that, and we didn't. But you do see them. And I remember one night walking out, and this fucking like little like, I don't know, this kid had to be like 8 years old. Just banging his fucking head. The doors into this inpatient, like from the hallway, that kind of like keep you in so you can't escape, are held together with like 1,000-pound magnets. Like, you need a key card to unlock the magnets, and they're not moving if you don't have that key card. And this little 8-year-old boy, man, he was just taking his fucking head and just bashing it against that metal door handle, and it was bleeding, and it was fucking terrifying, because it's like, who thinks like that as a kid? Like, who as a kid was like, whatever emotion, rage, sadness, to do like that, and then all the nurses do is just put a pillow in front of like where he's hitting his head on it. It's like, give that kid a hug or something, man. Like, it's just fucked up, like, because it's not that kid who's like, the kid's not fucking around with drugs or nothing like that. Like, that's his parents. Like, all that shit came from their parents. And I guess that kind of goes back to like how I was raised. Like, I was in that inpatient, but I was doing better than that kid, so I had better parents than that kid. I would like to say that I have very good parents. It's just, I was their first kid. Everybody says you're not really a parent, or you're never really ready to parent until you have to. And my parents had to figure a lot out, man. Like, especially my mom. Like, I gotta give my mom the biggest props. My dad's pretty cool too, but my mom gets the most props. My mom joined the Army at 17, because she comes from like a decently poor family, and they weren't going to be able to pay for what she wanted to do, which was like pharmacy and like chemistry and shit like that. So she joined the Army because they were going to pay for it, Gets out of the Army, has me like immediately when she gets out with my biological dad. Has me, starts going to Creighton Medical College to get her doctorate, does that. I think she graduated way early too. I think she did like a bunch of undergrad, or I don't even know how college works. I'm a dumb blue collar boy, but she graduated, like, she got her doctorate early. Met my dad during that process while raising me after getting into the Army. Then moved us out to Wisconsin. Like, I turned like 7, and we were just like, boom, Wisconsin. We stayed in a town called Monroe, at a hotel called American for like a week or two until we found a place, and then we lived in I lived in like a sleeping bag because I didn't have a bed for a little bit, and then yeah, we were in Monroe, and then she got a job as a pharmacist, and we were pretty set. Like I went from like living. Not that this town is like a shithole, but it's like a town of 1,000 people. Like there's nothing going on here. There's nobody making moves. There's nothing. So we went from that to Monroe, and Monroe's a town of like 10,000. By now it might be like 15 or something. I'm not sure. They never update that population sign. But way more stuff going on, like an actual like decent school and shit like that. Or at least the time when I went, it was decent. Not towards the end, but when I started going. And then we lived in the woods, certified country boy. I was riding like four-wheelers and go-karts and all that fun stuff around. That's probably where my love of cars came from. Actually, no, I've been playing with Matchbox cars since I could breathe. But yeah, my mom was a beast. I don't know how she did it. She's honestly like my biggest role model. And then you got my dad. He's also like pretty crazy. He's had a couple dads himself. And by a couple, I mean like four or five at this point, I think, if he counts the newest one. And he is a tough son of a bitch, let me tell you that. What am I trying to say here? He didn't have to adopt me. Like I'm not blood related to him. It was pretty big thing on his part. Like imagine being, how old was my mom? Probably they were probably like 27, 28 or something when they met, which is like 6 years from me max, which is fucking kind of scary to me, And then when I was like 11, which makes how old does that make? I don't know, like 30 something, early 30s. Then he adopted me, and it was like, damn, man. Fucking that definitely like helped me out a lot, because I think me and him have talked about this before, like personally, but I think he knew exactly what I needed. That was like another big thing, because he had a couple dads himself, and now I didn't have a dad, and he knew how to fill that role because he knew what he was missing as a kid. But also, like I said earlier, the shit that happens to you when you are a kid affects how you are excuse me, like how you interact with people, how you are as a person, your personality and whatnot. So I think a lot of that had to do I think how he was raised had a lot to do with what he was doing with my childhood, like how he raised me. But yeah, I love my dad, I love my parents, they did good. Sometimes I get envious of them because I'm out here like balling on a blue collar budget. Not really, I'm pretty broke, me and Cody, and they're doing pretty good. They got a zip line in their backyard in a lake house. Like they're pretty set. My dad's got a sick ass Corvette. I tell you what, brother, that thing goes 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. That thing rips. Got a big old V8 in it. I tell you what, hell yeah, rub my little nipples. I tell you what, that thing's hot. Oh man, he let me drive it one time and did donuts in it. Fucking burnout, fucking pole. It's pretty sweet. God damn it, Cody threw me the fuck off. Cody's home. What do you guys want to talk about? Comment what you want me to talk about next time. I don't really know. Do you know that when that plane, during 9/11, when that plane hit the Pentagon, that they never found like wings or engines or a fuselage for that plane?
You talking to me?
Kind of. I'm kind of talking to everybody. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, a little bit. Let me turn the gain up. I turned it down because the washer's kind of fucking loud.
Yeah, but it'll be blocked out. Trust me. I always think shit's gonna interfere.
All right, the gain's up. They can definitely hear you now because they can hear me and I'm fucking whispering. Damn, crank it up, Daddy. You killed it. Oh, it's back. Oh. No. Oh, all right, we're good.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
It's just this side.
Fucking with my shit, boy.
This ain't a bad view.
No, it ain't. The light behind us ain't right, but yeah, that plane, they never found anything.
They didn't find any wreckage or anything?
No, there's like 8 billion cameras. No, now we sound like we're in a pool all of a sudden. We sound like we're in underwater. Oh, maybe we're just far away. Here, I wonder if we could just set it over here.
Oh shit! I'm breaking
Sorry,
stuff.
folks.
Does it sound better now?
Yeah.
All right.
Screen timed out. But yeah, there's like 80 billion cameras pointed at the Pentagon, and there's only one video, and it's like 4 frames, and you can barely see a plane hit it, and they never found wings, engine, fuselage, tail rotors.
Would you find it though? You think it would get so hot that it would incinerate everything?
Yeah. No.
No?
Have you ever seen a plane crash? They find like a shit ton of the stuff. They found like when the one plane was going to the White House and the people overcame the hijackers and crashed in the field.
Mm-hmm.
They found a shit ton of parts.
Yeah, but how well did they look? Well, I guess they had to clear the
could
rubble.
see it. Yeah, here, let me go.
You gotta clear the rubble to fucking rebuild shit, so I guess.
I don't know. I think they shot. My theory is that they shot a missile at the Pentagon, and that's really what did it. I think it was like a self-inflicted wound in order.
You think they did it on
it was
accident or
no,
something?
yeah, it was
On purpose?
It was on purpose. It was a self-inflicted wound to start a war that would make us billions of dollars in the Middle East. That's why they did it.
That could be a possibility.
I think that is the possibility.
So I guarantee the military-industrial complex is tied in with all this other shit. What do we got? We got plane wrecks, 2024s.
That's what a fucking plane wreck looks like. They didn't
Yeah.
find any of that shit.
But it's under a bunch of rubble.
Yeah, but not the Pentagon one. The Pentagon one.
Oh,
came
that's
in
what you're
flat.
talking about. Yeah. There was no rubble. I thought
No.
there was a
No rubble.
picture of it. I thought there was a picture of the plane, Pentagon plane. Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck's that?
Oh yeah, there is none.
Yeah, no plane, bro. No plane.
That's weird as
No
fuck.
plane. And there's like,
I guess I've never looked
the
at it like this.
The other thing that throws me the fuck off about the Pentagon is that there's no. Hold on. Let me get back in front of the mic real quick. Oh, I just opened Torque Drift like a dumbass. There's 80. It's the Pentagon, right? It's the most secure building like in the world. There's like 8 trillion cameras pointed in every direction of the Pentagon. Dude, no videos. One video is all they got.
Yeah, that doesn't make any fucking sense. In
Because
2001, we had
the entirety of 9/11 was like a big. The reason these conspiracy theories get debunked and whatnot is because they're all kind of a conspiracy theory within one. Like the World Trade Centers went down because Larry Silverstein or whatever the fuck insured each of them for $1.2 billion, and he was in the pocket of the government. So then he tells them, hey, take that one down. Plus, he lights World Trade Center 7 on fire. Do you know 3 buildings went down in New York on 9/11? Yeah. So he gets 3 buildings worth of insurance money. And then they're like, okay, well, if he's doing that scheme, let's do our scheme.
He owned all of them?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, let's do our scheme to start a war in the Middle East that'll eventually make us like $1 trillion.
They would
they're
do
like,
that.
all right, let's send one at the White House, have it fake overcome by people and crashed in a field because they debunked that phone call, because that phone call where they're like, let's roll, let's overtake this hijacker and crash this plane in a field, never fucking happened. And then also let's hit the Pentagon and make it look like a plane too. Both of which probably...
Sounds like a conspiracy theory until you realize
That's
they
a
tried to get
conspiracy as
JFK. Well, until you realize that they tried to get JFK to go into Cuba.
Yeah.
And that didn't work. They realized it didn't work with the president. Maybe Bush wouldn't go into fucking Iraq, just be like, oh, let's go kill some fucking Iraqis.
Turn that place
Let's fucking
into
do
fucking
it.
glass.
So they fucking just, boom, boom.
Yeah.
The CIA, maybe. Is that what you were saying? I thought the CIA has access to terrorists or just
No,
people.
yeah, the CIA basically is terrorists. They're the Central Intelligence Agency. It's actually illegal for the CIA to conduct operations in our own soil. That's the tricky part about 9/11. Is like it could have been them, but they'll never tell us because that would have been highly illegal of them. So,
But then, so CIA things come unredacted, right? At some point, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to release that shit.
yeah, but they get to
Freedom
decide.
Freedom of Information Act.
You know,
But is that act a bill or is it like?
freedom of information is like a. I think it's just like a release. It's probably a law of some sort, but. Like, I mean, Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset.
I'm about
that,
to look. Oh yeah, you're right.
That either went rogue or we sent him rogue in order to have him be the villain. Like, we do all that scummy shit. Sometimes I think about, like...
That's why he attacked us.
Do you think Vladimir or, like, the Russian KGB looks at the CIA and goes, like, whoa, you guys are crazy, bro. You don't care about nothing. Not funny? Alright, cool. I'll fucking kill myself. I don't
No,
wanna
I'm
talk
sorry.
about
I was reading.
Yeah, I know.
Since 1967, the Freedom of Information Act has provided the public the right to request access to records from any federal agency. It is often described as the law that keeps citizens in the know about their government. So they probably don't do anything.
Yeah. But also that's a law through the fucking government.
Not just that, but who knows how? Like, we don't get taught laws in school. Nobody knows about this
Nobody
shit,
tells you
probably.
about the Freedom of Information.
Yeah, if people do want, like, and even let me extend that shit. Let's say you do know about the Freedom of Information Act. If you're going to work on the day-to-day, doing all the normal shit in life, who the fuck's, like, most people are not looking up the shit we're looking up. Like, oh, did the CIA really do this shit?
Yeah, it's fucking, I don't like it. I don't like it. Huh. God damn it, I was going to say something, and you fucking kept talking, and I lost it because I started listening. No, it wasn't poopy dick ass, I would have said it. God damn it. I made it pretty far. You see how far I'm at?
Yeah. You did good. I'm excited to watch it.
I don't think it's that good.
That's what I think every time I'm recording. I'm like, this is going to be a shit one.
I realize how hard it is to actually explain a topic to someone that has no idea what you're talking about versus like to you. Because I kept jumping way too far ahead without explaining anything in the first place.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, I always second guess myself. And I was like,
and you're like, is that right?
I gotta stop doing that. And then I was,
or you're like, I gotta go back for a second.
I turned that into a topic, but
it's hard to formulate ideas and shit.
Yeah. Especially when you know someone else is gonna see your ideas and think about them. But
that's why I encourage people to comment, because if they don't fucking know about
I did
something
earlier before you got home. I was like, comment what you guys want me to talk about. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Oh, we can make a little short, little cutesy podcast, couldn't we? First little Chance solo plus Cody sneaks in my back door.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking on the way here. You can name it Cody sneaks in my back door.
All right, folks. I love you guys. Have a good night.
Bye.